Assalamu alaikum. These slides are for BBA 2 and the subject is Principle of Microeconomics, which is presented by Ms. Zara. The chapter is Demand, Supply and Market Equilibrium, in which we will discuss supply in detail. First of all, we need to know what is supply. Supply is a schedule or a curve showing various amounts of product that a producer are willing and able to make available for sale at each series of possible prices. Means that the producer is willing and able to sell at a particular price. That is known as supply. Now, what is law of supply? Law of supply is a law which shows the positive relation between price and quantity supplied. What is law of supply? Other things remains constant. As price rises, quantity supplied also rises. As price falls, quantity supplied also falls. This is known as law of supply. So we may clearly see that there is a positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. That price is increasing, quantity supplied is also increasing. If the price decreases, quantity supplied also decreases. Supply curve. What will supply curve show? Similarly, as the demand curve, supply curve show the relationship between price and quantity supplied. Here, the supply curve would be positively sloped because there is a positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. We can see here the table and the graph. In the table, as there is price per bushel of the corn and quantity supplied is per week of the corn. At price 5, they are supplying 60 bushels. At price 4, they are supplying 50 bushels. At price 3, they are supplying 35 bushels. At price 2, they are supplying 20 bushels. And at price 1, they are supplying 5 bushels. So we may clearly see that as the price is decreasing, they are supplying lesser and lesser because no producer is bound to supply more and more on the decreasing prices. So he would be happy to sell less and less on lesser prices and more on higher prices. By plotting these points on the graph, we will get a supply curve. How we will plot? We will take prices on y-axis and quantity on x-axis. By taking prices on y-axis and quantity on x-axis, what we will do, we will plot first, second, third, fourth and fifth pair, all these pairs as a point on this graph, and by joining these points we get a supply curve, and the supply curve is upward sloping. This upward sloping shows that there is a positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. Market supply. This is same as the market demand. आप market demand में क्या करते थे? We get a market demand curve by adding the individual demand curve, individual demand of the people. Similarly, market supply, how we will get market supply? When we will add the supply of all individual suppliers, then we will get the market supply. Now, what are the determinants of supply? Determinants means the supply shifters, those things which will shift the supply curve. These are all other things remains constant. We have read in law of supply that all other things remains constant. Means there are many other factors that can change the supply of the product. We have made all them as constant in the law of supply. So these are known as the determinants. Now what are the determinants of supply? Number one is the resource prices. Resource prices means input prices. For example, wages. Labor is used as an input, so labor get the wages. So if they will demand higher wages, when they will demand higher wages, the cost of production will increase. When the cost of production will increase, the profit motive for the supplier will reduce. When the profit will reduce, they will supply less. Main motive of the supplier is profit. If the profit is higher, they will supply more. If the profit is lesser, they will supply less. So the basic phenomena was that the resource prices has increased, due to which their profit has decreased. So they will supply less. So it means the resource prices is a factor which can change the supply. So we need to make that constant in the law of supply. So all these factors which can change the supply are known as the determinants of supply. Number two is the technology. Technology. If we are using a high-tech technology, it means that the average cost of production will decrease. When average cost of production will decrease, the profit motive for the supplier will increase. Remember that this thing that the cost of production and the profit has an inverse relationship. If the cost of production is reduced, profit motive will be high, and if the cost of production will be high, profit motive will be less. So in technology, in the case of technology, if you are using high-tech technology, the cost of production, average cost of production will reduce. When the average cost of production will reduce, the profit motive for the supplier would be high. So when the profit is high, he is willing to supply more of a particular product. Then taxes and subsidies. Taxes and subsidies are two opposite things. Taxes are as the suppliers consider taxes as the part of the cost. If the government imposes taxes, they will think that the cost of production has increased. So when the cost of production has increased, the profit motive will decrease, so they will supply less. And the subsidies are as opposite to the taxes. Subsidies means suppose that the government is giving revenue, the government is giving some amount, some help to the suppliers. So it is a positive thing. With the help of this, their cost of production will decrease, and they will their profit will be high, and they will supply more. Then the price of the other goods. Let's suppose that a supplier is preparing soccer balls and a net ball. For example, the price of the soccer ball has increased. What he will do, he will engage all the netball labor to the soccer ball. So the price of related good with the increase in the price of one good, the supply of the other good has decreased, because उसकी प्राइस तो इंक्रीज नहीं हुई थी, प्राइस तो एक की इंक्रीज हुई है, तो उसने क्या किया कि उसके सारे के सारे जितने भी रिलेटेड गुड थी दूसरी जिसको प्रोड्यूस करा था, उसने उसकी भी सारी लेबर अपने सॉकर बॉल को प्रोड्यूस करने में लगा दी, और उसकी सप्लाई इंक्रीज हो गई. Then producer expectations. Producer expectations. If the producer is expecting that in future that the price of the particular product will increase, what will they do? They will supply less now. For example, if a petrol pump come to know that tomorrow the prices of the petrol are going to increase by 10 rupees per liter, what will they do? they will say they will say that we have no petrol at this point of time, means they will artificially show that there is no petrol. They will artificially show that there is no petrol. They will say that we are closed, we do not have petrol, so that they can earn higher profit on the day after tomorrow. So the producer expectations also play a very important role in the supply of the particular product. If they are expecting that in future the price of the particular product will increase, they will supply less now. And if they will think that in future the price of the particular product will decrease, so they will try to sell more and more now. The last determinant is the number of the sellers in the market. Simple. If the number of sellers in the market is going to increase, so more hands, more supply. And if the number of sellers are going to decrease in the market, less hand, less supply. So the number of sellers has a positive relationship with the supply of the particular product. Then a change in one or more of these determinant of supply or supply shifter will move the supply curve for the product either to the right or to the left. What will happen with the change in the determinants of the supply to the supply curve? Remember that, always remember this thing, that if there is a changing in the supply due to the price, there will be movement in the supply curve. But if there is a changing due to the determinants of the supply, it is the shifting of the supply curve. If the supply is increasing, then it will shift towards right, and if the supply is decreasing, then it will shift towards left. Remember, if it is increasing, then it will shift towards right, and if it is decreasing, then it will shift towards left. Or we can say rise or fall. Rise from rise R, it is moving towards right, and fall L, it is shifting towards left. Now, change in quantity supplied. The distinction between the change in supply and the change in quantity supplied parallel to the distinction between the change in demand and change in quantity demanded. Because a supply is a schedule or a curve, a change in supply means change in the schedule or the shifting of the curve. Remember that if there is an increase in the price or decrease in the price, move it will be the movement in the supply curve from one point to the other point. If it is because of the price, then there will be movement along the supply curve from one point to another point. जैसे कि आप जब supply curve बनाते हैं तो A से B, B से C, because the price की वजह से change हो रहा होता है तो वो movement हो रही होती है. But if it is a changing due to the other factor, due to the determinants, then it will shift the supply curve either towards the right or towards the left, depending upon the increase or the decrease of the particular product. This is the quick review. A supply curve or a curve shows that other things equal, the quantity of the goods supplied varies directly with its price. Then a supply curve shifts because of resource prices, technology, taxes or subsidies, price of other goods, expectations of future prices, and the number of the suppliers. Lastly, a change in the supply is the shift of the supply curve, and change in the quantity supplied is the movement from one point to another on the fixed supply curve, on the same supply curve. Thank you. Now there's an assignment that you have to write the law of supply in detail and send it back to me. Thank you.